Hello, my name is Kiriath, and today we are going to take a look at some stuff from the Magnet Baron and Gear Guts Mech Shop. So the Magnet Baron was very kind enough to send over some stuff to take a look at. We've got some flight stands for Inceptors or anything else that flies, really. Works for 40k and, of course, Age of Sigmar. And there's some nice 3D printed terrain in the form of a massive, and I mean massive, warp gate. I had no idea it was going to be that big. And a funky Ork Mekboy to take a look at. So we're going to take a look at that, see what's what, see how things are in terms of quality, in terms of finish, in terms of ease of use, all of that stuff. So yeah, enjoy. Okay, so let's start with the flight stands first, because if you have been building any sort of 40k or Age of Sigmar stuff from Games Workshop recently, you will have experience with the flight stands that they currently use, the flying bases that usually assist your model in flying straight off said flying base onto the floor. Now, I cannot stand those flying bases to the extent that I don't even have the ones for my Inceptors anymore. I flat out just threw them away. Like, genuinely threw them away. And I only realised that I'd thrown them away when I came to do a comparison, a direct one-to-one of showing what these are like compared to what the others are like. They annoyed me so much with my models falling off, just sitting there. I mean, these aren't even Inceptors that are used regularly. These are not ones that have been transported. They don't really go anywhere. They just sit around waiting for me to finally paint them, which I think I actually will now. And even then, these lads fell off their stands so often. Even glued, they fell off. And God knows, every time I've played Stormground at Warhammer World with his Shield Wolves, I don't know the last time he took some Inceptors out of the box that he carries his stuff in and they hadn't come off the base. It's happened a fair amount, and to any number of people. They're not popular, for good reason. So, what the Magnet Baron does is provide, as you might think, magnets. And in this particular case, these are magnetic flying bases. So you've got a little kind of molded, printed rock at the bottom there. The see-through cylinder goes into that. Then you place a sphere magnet in the top, and then you have another magnet on the Inceptor or whatever model you prefer. Which has got a divot, as you can see, so that it sits comfortably. Now, I really struggled, I'll be honest, to get the magnets facing down. They are super secure when they're on the base. That's the whole point. The point is that you don't want your Inceptors or your Seraphim or your Zephyrim or any number of other, flying units just falling off the base constantly. I did struggle to get the magnets facing down, but to be honest, found that them going sideways worked just as well. Now, they are chunky. They are undeniably chunky. But, to be honest, for me, that's not really an issue, because I would prefer something chunky on the model than trying to move it and it falling off, even when you've glued it, which has been my experience with the flying bases that Games Workshop makes. So it was a case of, okay, there's a bit of weight, there's a bit of girth to them, these magnets, but on the other hand, once they're on, they're on. They're not going anywhere. You can wave them about. They might shift a little bit on it, but you'd expect that because it's a magnet. They're not like stuck to the base. It does mean that you can just take them off, and for ease of transport, they're not going to fall off. They're not going to fly off. You can just move them separately. So that's the way I chose to do these. It is possible to get them facing down. I have seen pictures and people have done it, but I struggled, so I went this way. But that's fine because I don't mind. That's perfectly acceptable for me. If you wanted to do it a different way, you absolutely can. And of course, depending on the pose, I mean, to be honest, that works just as well there. That's not even how it's supposed to go, but it works perfectly well. As I say, there's a bit of shiftage, but you'd expect that because it's not glued, it's magnetized, and it being magnetized and being able to shift instead of just hurtling away all the time is infinitely more preferable. So in terms of how secure they are a lot more secure than a standard Games Workshop flying base. They're way more secure. In terms of getting them exactly how you want, I would suggest that it's probably easier on the ones that don't come with the Dark Imperium box. These are Dark Imperium Inceptors, so they don't go together quite the same way as the full kit, which does make doing things like this a little more tricky because you have less options in terms of like kind of in terms of what order you assemble stuff, if I remember correctly, the vast majority of these, I think it's all three actually. The legs kind of go in interesting ways. I think, if I remember correctly, the torso and the waist are already assembled. Yes, there it is. So that leg goes on separately. Genuinely, that has snapped because it fell off the base when I moved it quite a while ago. And the same thing happened to one of the others as well. I mean, it's just way more secure. It's way more sensible. It's way easier to transport. And yeah, it is a bit chunky, but I would take chunky over messing about with the stupid flying bases that you get with them standard by far. Things like the rock that actually holds these, I actually think is a really nice touch. Now, you don't have to use them. You can just get you can avoid that bit if you want. But if you're going to build the base up, if you're going to make it a bit scenic, if you're going to you could put some cork around it, you could do all sorts of things to build into that. It's quite a nice way of doing it, to be honest. It at least makes it part of the feature as opposed to just being something that's kind of whacked on. It depends on how kind of fancy you want to go with the base, but yeah, these work so much better than the standard flying bases. And as I say, the ease of transport thing makes it so much better. I think the idea with the flying bases that you get with these as standard is that you can take them off and you can move your models without it being too much of an issue. But it isn't like it doesn't work like that. They fall off all the damn time, and that just does not happen here. They stay on when you want them to stay on, and then when you don't, you just take them off, and there you go, you're done. So one of the things that's good about this is that the website is super helpful. I did take a look because I was like, I don't need to do a lot of magnetizing stuff. I should, but I don't bother. That's down to laziness more than anything else. And also, there is an element of where do you start? Where exactly do you start with this sort of thing? You don't actually need to know where to start if you use their site, because their site's really handy because you just have set things. So if you want to magnetize the Invicta warsuit, you literally just find the Invicta warsuit. You can just search for it, and you will get all the magnets you need to do the hips, the weight, like the arms, the weapon options, all of it. It's just already pre-selected. It's pre-made. Same with these. It is literally a case of going, I want flight stands for 40k, and then you click the thing, and you will get all the magnets you need, all the stands you need, and the things to slot them into just in one package. There's no like buying separate stuff and hoping it all fits, because it's been made to fit and it's in a configuration whereby you just grab it and it works. I have to say I prefer them a lot. I prefer them by far to the ones that you get standard. If you want to actually have them not touching scenery, then I think this is a really, really good way to do it. As I say, the only downside is the kind of the size of the magnet on the back, but the upside to the size of the magnet on the back is that you end up with a nice stable connection that, yeah, it does move around, but he's not going anywhere. Once he's on and he's sorted. So yeah, those are the flight stands. I like the flight stands a lot. Now, for the Gearguts Mech Shop side of things, which is another Magnet Baron thing, we have a few things. So we'll take a look at this lad first. So there's a quality Ork Mekboy. The detail on it is really good. So there's a bit of join there. So it's, as you can see, 3D printed. There is a bit of like join there, but that's it. I've not touched this. I've not messed with this. I've just left it how it is out of the box, so you can see what it's like out of the box. There's been no fiddling with it or tidying up. And for the most part, there really isn't any fiddling with it or tidying up that you need to do. To be fair, you've got a few spars there, as I say, but that's it. And those, get a pair of clippers on them. Be careful, but you can get a pair of clippers on those and take them out really easily. They're not going to have any sort of impact on the actual detail of the model at all. I'm honestly really impressed with how clean it is. Hardly any work needs to be done on this at all. Even when it comes to things like filing, like you could do with filing down a couple of bits here and there. There's like a little bit just there that you might want to deal with, and maybe a tiny bit on that rivet, but for the most part, it is super clean, and the detail is lovely and crisp in well, I say in places, in most places. Like on the little electrode things there on the shoulder, that's all really, like, if I can get that nice and close, that's like lovely and crisp on there. Really, really precise. Same with the chains. The chains are really nicely done too. Then you've got all the detail on the cable leading into this hand. Into this weapon, even. And again, super clean. So yeah, I really like this model, and it's come out really, really nicely. There's really nothing to complain about there at all. The thing that blew me away, that massively blew me away. So when we were talking, and when they emailed me, I picked a few things and said, why don't we take a look at this? The flight stands would be great, because I hate the flying stands that Games Workshop made, so an alternative would be fantastic. I really liked the look of the of this guy. He looked awesome. There's also some crazy looking tanks on the site as well. It's totally worth checking out the tanks that are available from Gear Guts, because some of them are mad. There's like a grot tank that looks like an aircraft carrier. It's so good. So yeah, the other thing was a bit of terrain, bit of scenery. I thought that would be cool. So when I selected it, did not realise that it would be an absolute like behemoth of of a terrain piece. And again, it's come out really nice and clean. Again, this is just as it's come, and it's honestly like impressively clean. I've had quite a lot of 3D printed stuff, especially recently. I've kind of been buying more of it and messing about with it a bit more, and kind of seeing what you can get, because some places do some really, really cheap 3D printed stuff, and to be honest, quite often you can tell that it's really cheap. This is like, I mean, it's solid. It's properly solid. It doesn't weigh a huge amount, but it does not feel flimsy at all. It's also really, really sturdy. Like, it feels super sturdy. There's all the detail that you've got on the smaller model, just kind of expanded up. It's so beefy. I need to find an excuse to. I'm going to paint it up, and I need to find an excuse to use it. So you've got this section, which is massive. Like it's a chunky lad. And then there's 3 different backs that go with it, which I really, really like. So this one going to require a little bit more tidying up. You've got there's a little bit here and there, but actually pretty easy to tidy up, so it's fine. So you've got this as one potential back of it. So with it behind, you have a kind of a deactivated gate, so to speak. So as you can see, there's nothing going on at the back. It's clearly off. And I really like the fact that it comes with all of these. So you've got this chunky back piece that shows it closed off and deactivated. And then you've got this piece. Now, obviously, it's in different coloured print, but that doesn't matter because you're going to be painting it anyway. The base colour of the material really makes no difference because you're going to be base coating it and painting it. So then you get the one that is starting off work. I will say when they sit as well, they align perfectly. Like, it's a little bit hard to tell, but yeah, like when one is behind the other, it's like a flawless fit. So then you've got the one that's kind of activating and is starting to work. And again, I will say, not a huge amount of tidy up required on this one. It's pretty damn clean on the back. There's a little bit that needs sorting out on the inside there, but a couple of minutes work with a small file, and you'll get rid of 99% of this. Easily 99% of it. A lot of it is already loose. It's just like strands that are left over that you could do with cleaning out, but really it's not going to take very much effort at all. So yeah, you've got this like the second back of this thing, which then once you've you know, I feel like, especially for like some sort of themed game, it would be really fun to have a gate that is closed, then starting to open, and then finally fully opening in the form of this. So by the time you get to the last bit of it, you've got an open gate. And again, they line up perfectly when sat on a flat surface. The kind of what's the word? The kind of like ripples in the material at the back match up with the little like claws on the gate itself. And again, there's a bit more tidy up to be done on this. I'd say probably a bit more again than on the pink section, but it's all very, very thin, very kind of easy to move. I mean, I'm taking it off just with my hand. I'm not like, as you can see, I'm not filing it or messing about with it particularly hard, and the bits that need to come off are pretty much just coming off from being pulled. So there isn't a huge amount, like you can see the like the layer lines on it, but you can't really feel them. They're there, but they're very, very, very fine, and in quite a lot of places, although you can see them, there is absolutely no, like it's super silky smooth, and it just doesn't feel like there's anything there at all. Especially on this one, like looking at those steps, if the camera picks it up, which it might do, hopefully, like you can sort of see lines, but you can't feel them. There's nothing there to get caught on. They're not rough or anything like that. It's, you know, it's all smooth transitions, and yeah, it should paint up really, really nicely because of that. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting it to be that absolutely massive, but it's come out really nicely. As I say, I've not cleaned any of this up. This is exactly how it came to me, and for the most part, none of it really requires any real work to get into what you might say is like painting condition. There's hardly anything that needs doing. There's like the worst that you need to do on this one is just a little bit round the back, and that's it. Everything else is really, really clean, really nicely printed, really, really solid fieldy. Like it doesn't flex, it doesn't bend, it doesn't, like, it's not massively heavy, but it feels properly solid. So yeah, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with this stuff. I think it's I mean, it looks great for a start, but it's obviously well made. It definitely doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't look cheap. Yeah, some nice stuff. Some really nice stuff. So yeah, that's a few things from the Magnet Baron and from Geargut's Mech Shop. And what I will do is I will put a link to both of those sites in the description down below. So if you want to grab like a magnetized kit for, there's a fair number of vehicles on there. If you want to grab any flight stands, stuff like that, then yeah, there'll be links in the description below. Thank you again to the Magnet Baron and to Geargut for sending this stuff. Yeah, I'm impressed. It's good. It's good. It feels good, and yeah, pretty happy. Thank you very much for watching. Feel free to click all the things. As I say, in the description there'll be links to both sites. Go and grab anything you need. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I will see you for the next one. Toodaloo.